for today's session. The title of today's webinar is Ask an Expert, Solutions to Challenges of Rural Business Ownership. Today's event really is about getting your questions answered. Joining us for this hour Q&A session, we have a panel of experts who specialize in assisting rural small business owners. So please start typing your questions now so we can begin answering them as soon as possible. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few quick topics. First, this webinar will be recorded, and we'll be sending a link to this recording and the slide deck to all participants in a post-event email. This webinar session will last an hour, and we've set
businesses and cooperatives. We think about that in a areas and groups of work in food, in energy, and in rural areas. We offer guaranteed loan programs and
businesses by assembling teams that will and what we do is assemble teams to everything from agriculture to retail, and we have a rich range of resources through SCORE.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Tammy Neville, and I am here representing the USDA Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer programs, otherwise known as SBIR STTR. The USDA SBIR STTR programs offer competitively awarded grants to qualified small businesses to support high quality research that is related to important scientific questions and opportunities in agriculture that we hope will lead to significant public benefits. We have 10 very broad topics that all relate to agriculture and rural development. Those that I kind of wanted to highlight were specifically our rural and community development topic area, our small and mid-sized farm area. And when we think about areas in agriculture, we don't want to forget about what USDA also has an effect with is food and nutrition. And so that might not seem directly related to agriculture, but that is also one of our topic areas, as well as plant production and protection and animal production and protection, aquaculture, forests and related products. Just give you an idea of some of our topic areas. The goal of our program is to bring research and innovation into the commercial market. And we do that through a 3-phased approach, where phases 1 and 2 are a sequential program that is funded through USDA NIFA. Both are competitive. And then phase 3 is where outside investors come in to fund your research, your innovation, your product, until we can see it realized in the commercial market.
All right, thank you all for introducing yourselves. So we'll get started with the first question here. What are your opinions as far as the biggest challenges facing rural small businesses right now, today?
One of the things that I see besides funding is communication and networking, because finding people to help support with strategic ideas and develop things that our rural business owners are passionate about, they need resources to help them understand what's the options are, what alternatives are available, to help them develop and quantify ideas. And I think that's a real specific challenge. And obviously communications, because the Internet of Things does not reach well to rural America.
One of the things, I hope you all can hear me, one of the things that I would add to that is that there is oftentimes a lack of access to capital. That's part of a big reason for our work is providing access to capital. I mentioned several types of capital access programs that we have. One of the things we find is that, as people get farther away from a bank or a credit union, their access to reasonably priced capital, loans, those kinds of things becomes more and more limited. And so we want to make sure that we work with those kinds of partners and deliver some programs ourselves that will help facilitate that kind of access to capital. So I think that is a key piece that we want to be attentive to. Of course, there are other kinds of things as well, but I just want to mention that because I think that's something where in many cases, rural development is well positioned to help support.
As far as the USDA SBIR office, we work closely with the Small Business Administration, and they have a lot of resources on their website that individuals may not know about. And so I would encourage you to visit the Small Business Administration website and to look at specifically any of the small business development centers that may be in your area. I know where I'm currently living in Nebraska, some of their outreach is taking a hold of technology, and some of those offices, though they may be located on the eastern part of the state, they're working with companies on the western part of the state in order to work on applications to the SBIR, STTR grant programs that are available.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to the next question that we have here. Are there any grants for rural developments for small businesses to develop single-family homes?
Yeah, I mentioned the Rural Housing Service in my introduction, and I'm not an expert on that. The administrator there is Joaquin Altoro, but I think the best thing to do is to consult your state office. And I should have said this in my introduction. Rural Development is really pleased that we have not only, of course, our national office, we have 47 state offices across that cover the full country, including Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam, other areas as well, other insular areas as well. So those state offices are really the front door to rural development services. So what I would suggest, and I'll ask Cody, I'll ask you to put this in the Q&A for others to see, is the link to our state office, all of our state offices. And so what I would suggest is to just contact that state office and ask that question there. There are people in each state office who are experts in our rural business programs, our rural housing service programs, and our rural utility service programs. So it's not a direct answer, but hopefully it gets you what you need and provides others with a good first stop for any rural development questions.
Perhaps a bit of a spin-off on that is if you have a company that you're working with that has a research or an innovation idea on how to improve technology into rural communities or rural housing, those applications would be welcome under our rural development topic area.
So the other question that we had, I believe it's related. When I was working on my doctorate, my project was on how rural small business owners learn about laws and regulations. With so many rules coming from so many places, often contradictory, how does a rural small business owner even find out what rules apply to them?
It's a really valid question. Maybe I'll kick this one off too. At Rural Development, collectively, I think there are 47 programs. I mean, there's almost 24 just at the Rural Business Cooperative Service. So there are a lot, and that's just RBCS, right? That's not even including things like, programs and opportunities with SBA or other agencies across the federal family. It is a legitimate question. I would say maybe two things. One is, in many cases with SBA, with Rural Development, there are local offices that can help you engage and really understand what's relevant for the places that you're working in. If there are particular traits to the economy that you're in your local area, likely the folks in those offices are going to know that because they live in that area and they understand it. And so they're going to be well positioned to help direct you to the particular programs that are out there. And then the other thing I would say is stay in touch. So in many cases, for example, I know we've been very involved in lifting up and developing a number of new programs related to food and particularly to meat processing, given the administration's focus on food systems transformation. And part of what we do in each of those cases is there is a mailing list. There's a place that you can put your email address in, and we will send you information as soon as a new program becomes available, as soon as there is an opportunity. And just very much encourage folks to sign up for those kinds of things. And feel free to reach out. We really do read those emails. We keep in touch, and we want to hear from you because that's who you all are here. Who we are here to serve.
Yeah, I will second that. The state departments of commerce are very, very viable in terms of information, and will get you to the right local regulations. But if you start at the state level, I found those extremely valuable in terms of sorting through local, state, and national regulations. When it gets specific, then it's just food handling or food processing, then you probably have to start at the federal level and go backwards.
All right, so another question that we had pop up, and it's about employment. Let me just find it real quick. I think I lost it. Oh, here it is.
There are grants and educational grants your retention is higher.
I'm trying to provide home care to rural
The Rural Housing Service, again, the state office in
About what grants are available within your state.
to that question, and in addition to contacting your state office.
Let's cover that pretty well. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so this question here asking, what are the highest needs for researchers that are in need of development?
Every state and area is it has an extremely active community and programs as well as professional organizations. It's a broad field. You look locally, it gets you highly involved. I'm in Arizona, closely with the University of Arizona and ASU on various programs. Things like ASU is a leader in food security. University of Arizona is a leader in controlled environmental ag, desertification, microbiology, etc. There are a lot of good techs. California is obviously a dominant state in biotechnology, as well as North Carolina.
I is a biotech company. If you are developing new technologies and you're looking for grant support, that would definitely be one of the topics that would fall within the USDA SBIR STTR program. And we funded many biotech projects. It's just whether it's a plant production, protection, biology, or engineering, but projects in.
There are also a little more complicated, but there are a number of that are available as well.
Sure. I think the best bet for that startup for any businesses, not just rural ones. Shops as well, where you can find step-by-step guides on how to build plan or how to start a business from idea all the way to
and of course to our state offices to give they have cattle and they want to make leather, or they're doing something. We don't deal in production because there's so many other agencies at the Department of Agriculture that deal with agricultural production. But once they get past that production, where they're making a value-added product, they're thinking about to create a new label for my where we have a grant program that can help. That is specific to agricultural producers. Program recently that was part of COVID relief that helped with that those companies could come back and continue to produce biofuels going forward. To intermediaries, to organizations that exist to serve business. So the Rural Business Development Grant Program is an example of that, where things like business plans or marketing or those kinds of things, business development, for rural businesses. Again, that would go to an intermediary, and then they would different programs. So, there are many other. Use the website, go talk to our folks in the state offices, and your specific idea in mind. I think that's sometimes a good way to sort of and see what programs are there. There is a list, and I'll put that in the chat as well, of all programs. So you can just sort of peruse a list of all the programs that the fit for you.
And I'll second that because I've had
All right, so generally thrive in rural areas.